Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video, and today we're going to be previewing the Houston Texans 2023 season as the Houston Texans kick off their 2023 season Sunday, September 10th, 2023 in Baltimore at 12 o'clock on CBS. The Texans will travel to Baltimore. Probably today was most likely today was probably travel day for the Houston Texans, so they're most likely already in Baltimore. Probably landed there early afternoon, and this will be the debut for rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, rookie debut for the third overall defensive end Will Anderson Jr., who the Texans selected back-to-back picks at number 2 and 3 overall, and then head coaching debut for the defensive coordinator from the 49ers, who was a former Houston Texans linebacker, DeMeco Ryans, who is our head coach. So it's the debuts for all three of those guys, and it's a new beginning for these Houston Texans. We're going to be previewing the season. We're going to be going over the 17-game schedule for the Houston Texans, alongside going over what their depth chart looks like and what you will see on the starting offense and defense. And then to finish this video up and this preview up, we are going to go over my predictions for the 2023 Houston Texans. Let's get into it. So let's go over the schedule for the Houston Texans in 2023. So Sunday, obviously the Texans play the Ravens. That game is on CBS on Sunday. And then week 2, the Houston Texans have their home opener against the Indianapolis Colts on September 17th at 12 o'clock. This game is on Fox. The Texans actually play quite a few games on Fox this season. Then on November 24th, the Houston Texans travel to Jacksonville. This is another Fox game, and this game is at 12 o'clock as well. A lot of 12 o'clock start times for the Houston Texans. That's what most of the start. That's like a good 95% of the start times are this season for the Houston Texans. But that will be the second road game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that game is on Fox as well. Then October 1st, you have 3 games in November. This is your first October game. This game will be week 4, a home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on CBS at 12 o'clock. This will be a very special game because J.J. Watt will be the second Houston Texans player to get inducted to the Houston Texans Hall of Fame, as he'll be inducted alongside wide receiver Andre Johnson. And this will be a really cool game. I mean, Steelers are going to be a fun team to watch this season. It makes it even better. It makes it even better that both of his brothers will be in town for this to happen. See, TJ Watt, amazing defensive end for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is JJ's brother, of course. And I am honest. Honestly, I should have looked this up before, but I don't know if Derek Watt, JJ's other brother, who is a fullback and special teams player, I think he's still on the Steelers, but even if it's one of his brothers, I think both of his brothers will be there. Obviously, his parents will be there. It's going to be a great weekend of football for the Houston Texans. October 1st, week 4 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then October 8th, week 5, the Houston Texans will travel to Atlanta. And as a Longhorns fan, this is going to be a really fun matchup to watch as the Atlanta Falcons have rookie Bijan Robinson. Watching the Longhorns last year and watching Bijan was something amazing. I mean, every year Bijan was here, it was awesome to watch him. He was such a good running back, and I'm really excited to see what he does with the Falcons. Just hope he doesn't really do too. I really just hoping he doesn't do so good in this matchup right here against my Houston Texans. But that is week 5. It is at 12 o'clock and another Fox game. So out of the first 5 games, the Houston Texans, an AFC team, have 3 Fox games on their first 5 games. And then on the 15th, this is week 6, the Houston Texans, week 6, play the New Orleans Saints. This is at 12 o'clock. And actually, cool thing about their schedule is they play the NFC South in the 2023 schedule this year. And in their schedule, they play all NFC South teams in a row. They play the Falcons, the Saints, then the bye week, then the Panthers, then the Buccaneers. So getting to the bye week, week 7, the Texans have the bye week. Then week 8, they get back out there, and the number 2 overall pick faces off against the number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. So CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young in Carolina. This game is at 12 p.m. The Saints game, by the way, is on Fox, and the Panthers game is on CBS, and both of them are at 12 o'clock. This will be a really fun matchup. This one's on October 29th. This will be a great game to watch, seeing the number 1 and number 2 overall picks face off against each other. And this is a game where you have all 3 of the top 3 overall picks playing in the game. Bryce Young, number 1 overall, Panthers quarterback. Number 2 overall, CJ Stroud, Texans quarterback. Number 3 overall, Texans star defensive end. How is this not a primetime game? That's what I ask myself. How is this not a Monday night or a Thursday night football game? With all top 3 picks in last year's draft playing in this game, how is that not a national televised game? All right, so that is a road game against the Panthers. Then you got week 9 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is at home at 12 o'clock. Then week 10 in Cincinnati at 12 o'clock, and that's on the 12th of November. And then November 19th, back at home against the Arizona Cardinals. This is the first game of a 3-game homestand. November 26th, the Texans play the Jaguars for the last time of the season. This one's on November 26th at 12 o'clock at home. Then first game of December is against the Denver Broncos. This is the only game that the Houston Texans play that is not at 12 o'clock. And this is a 3:05 start time against the Denver Broncos at home on December 3rd. Then the Houston Texans travel to New York on December 10th to play the New York Jets. This game starts at 12 o'clock. Then the Texans in December, first time they play the Tennessee Titans on the season, is December 17th in Tennessee at 12 o'clock. Then the Houston Texans play Deshaun Watson for the first time, a rematch after last year. Deshaun Watson coming back to Houston for the first time. Now Deshaun Watson comes back to Houston for the second time. This is on Christmas Eve. This would be a great Christmas gift to any Texans fan right here. This will be a fun game to watch. Not only going to this game, potential win for the Houston Texans right here, but also getting to boo Deshaun Watson. And that game will be Christmas Eve at 12 o'clock. And then this is New Year's Eve. This game will even be a better game to watch in person for Texans fans, and this will be another game where you will definitely hear a lot of boos. The Tennessee Titans travel to Houston, the Houston Texans, December 31st, New Year's Eve at 12 p.m., and the Tennessee Titans will be coming to Houston wearing Houston Oilers jerseys. I don't know how other people feel about it, but I feel like it's very disrespectful. And then the final game of the season is Indianapolis, just like it was last year. I'm just getting flashbacks from last year when the Texans, won when they weren't supposed to. And this game is January 7th, the first game of 2024, and probably the first and last. I don't see the Texans playing any other games in 2024 until the 2024 season starts, but we can always hope for the playoffs, I guess. This one will be in Indianapolis, and none of the Week 18 matchups so far have any time. So there's no time announced. There's no network announced. So that game against the Colts there's no information on that, when or what channel that game will be on. All right, we're going to get into the Houston Texans starters on offense and defense. So here is what, it's going to be different every week, of course, but here's what we're going to be going over what the offense and starters what the offensive starters and the defensive starters will look like week 1. And we'll be going over some players that are not playing right now in week 1 and could be starters for the Houston Texans down the road in the season. So here's what the starters will look like week 1 for the Houston Texans. You have CJ Stroud at quarterback, running back Dameon Pierce, wide receivers Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and Tank Dell. Tight end Dalton Schultz, fullback Andrew Beck, left tackle Laramie Tunsil, left guard Josh Jones, center Jarrett Patterson, right guard Shaq Mason, and right tackle George Fant. Here is the defense. Defensive end Will Anderson Jr., defensive tackle Malik Collins, defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, defensive end Jonathan Gennard, linebacker Christian Harris, linebacker Denzel Perryman, linebacker Jake Hansen, safety Eric Murray, safety Jalen Petrie, cornerbacks Steven Nelson, and Derek Stingley Jr. All right, and the starters that are out that were not listed. Jimmy Ward, safety, is out week 1. So is linebacker Blake Cashman. Both of those guys will be starters for the Houston Texans down the road. Offensive line, that's a big problem. Both Titus Howard and Juice Scruggs will be starters for this Houston Texans offensive line. They're both starting the season on IR, and expect both of those guys to be starters for the Houston Texans after week 5 in the offensive line. And then also John Mechie III is out in Sunday's game against the Baltimore Ravens, but John Mechie will not be a starter for this year. Maybe down the road he'll be a starter for the Texans, but not week 1 if he was healthy. All right, let's get into, now that I went over the starters on defense, let's go over my season predictions for the Houston Texans, and we're starting off with record predictions. I have the Houston Texans losing week 1 against the Ravens. I would have said there's a chance that the Texans could put the Ravens on upset alert, but with some injuries to the defense, with Blake Cashman and Jimmy Ward and John Mechie being out, and so many injuries to the offensive line, 3 out of the 5 starting offensive linemen out, and CJ Stroud's debut, I don't think this week 1 performance will be even close against the Baltimore Ravens. But then week 2, I think the Houston Texans bounce back and beat the Indianapolis Colts, and the Texans are back at 500 at 1-1. I have the Houston Texans losing their next 2 games against the Jaguars and the Steelers, and now they're 1-3. And then beating the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, you're 2-3. Losing to the Saints at home, you're 2-4. Beating the Panthers on the road, and now you're 3-4. Beating Tampa at home, 4-4. Losing to Cincinnati in Cincinnati, you're now 4-5. Beating Arizona at home, you're now 5-5. Then I have the Houston Texans splitting with the Jacksonville Jaguars by beating them at home. You're 6-5. Losing 2 games in a row to the Broncos at home and the Jets on the road. Now you're 6-7. Beating the Tennessee Titans on the road, you're 7-7. Losing to the Cleveland Browns at home, so now you're 7-8. Beating the Tennessee Titans at home, you're 8-8, and losing to the Indianapolis Colts on the road, so now you're 8-9. I think that's how the season unfolds. I think the Houston Texans end up going 3-1 against the NFC South. Ultimately, in the division, end up having a division record of 4-2. I think with facing off against your division, facing off against the Jags twice, the Colts twice, and the Titans twice, and facing off against the whole NFC South, and even having another matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, the worst team in football, I think this Houston Texans team can win 7 or 8 ball games this year, maybe even 9 if they play some great football. You guys let me know your thoughts on the Houston Texans this upcoming season. This will be a great team to watch. Week 1, I don't know about that, but I think down the road, this will be a great team to watch in the middle and the end of the season. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out. Go Texans.